すでにドジャースの春季キャンプ地、アリゾナ州のキャメルバックランチで、連日自主トレーニングを続けている大谷翔平選手。2月3日からキャンプ地入りしていて、バッテリー組の招集日の2月13日よりも10日早くキャンプ地入りし、調整を続けています。今シーズンは二刀流本格復帰の年。球団、そしてファンの期待は非常に高く、チームの3年連続ワールドシリーズ制覇と、自身5度目の MVP 獲得が大きな目標と語っていました。そして、今月初めのファン感謝祭でも話していたように大谷翔平選手は、今のところ健康な状態できているので順調です。WBC があるので少し調整が早くなるかな、と思います。とコメント。WBC に向けても、着実に準備を進めている様子です。なお、来月5日から開催される WBC では投手として保険が適用されなかった模様で DH 登録となりました。今後、投手としては原則、シーズン開幕へ向けてライブ BP など実戦形式の登板を重ねて調整を進めることになります。さらに、山本由伸投手の WBC 参戦も発表され、2月下旬に日本へ帰国してチームに合流する見込みです。ワールドシリーズ MVP 獲得、そして中0日登板のインパクトもあり、コンディションを不安視する声もありましたが、今回ドジャース投手コーチのマーク・クライヤー氏が、大谷翔平選手、山本由伸投手、そして佐々木朗希投手について語りました。ここからは、その注目インタビューを見ていきます。
I think the Dodgers depth, and we've talked about this pretty much all winter, sets them apart. Like, obviously, when you have Ohtani, Yamamoto, Snell, Glasnow as your core, and that's not even including what Sasaki could do with his first or second full year in the majors. Like, that rotation speaks for itself. But the depth is what makes the Dodgers dangerous, and we saw that last year when they had, 13 pitchers on the IL at one point? And they didn't really, I mean, it got a little dicey in the division for a little bit, but they ultimately were able to hold their ground because they had so much depth. I really like the Red Sox rotation on paper. Going and getting Ranger Suarez was a must for Boston. You put that next to Garrett Crochet, Sonny Gray, right around at number 3. I saw the Mariners a little lower than I would put them personally. But again, these are just WAR rankings. And then the Tigers, we just talked about it. All those teams have very strong 1, 2, 3, maybe 4. But what about after that? We know pitching injuries are at a rise throughout baseball. It has been more and more each year. We see it specifically the most in March and April. So if you don't have depth in your rotation, and I'm talking an abundance of depth, not just that we have a number 6 guy and a number 7 guy, but a 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you don't really have a rotation you can depend on, regardless of the names that make up the first half. So for this one, I still think the Dodgers have the best rotation in baseball because of the depth. There are certainly guys that you can put up against Ohtani, Yamamoto and be like, okay, that's a really formidable 1 and 2. But depth means everything here, and the Dodgers have the best of it.
Let me ask you this, Katie, and then Clint, I'd like to get your opinion on this as well as we still navigate this stuff with Mark Diaz coming on. I just texted him the links as well. So does it matter to you, or does your opinion change at all with Blake Snell being a little bit on a delayed schedule, if you will, maybe not exactly ready as he would be for opening day? And then Yamamoto probably having to have some sort of load management, considering he was an absolute beast in the postseason.
Yeah, and I think we can add Ohtani to the load management conversation as well. It doesn't necessarily, when I say concerning, like it's in the back of my mind is, okay, the Dodgers have to plan around this. They have to plan to bring in Snell maybe a little bit more delicately than they would in a regular season, right? They need to monitor Ohtani's workload, Yamamoto's workload, because as we mentioned, those injuries happen the most in March and April. And the last thing you want to do, I mean, any major league manager, coach will tell you this, you'd rather have your best pitchers in September than April. Something that they know already. We talked about this with Dave Roberts at the winter meetings. I mean, that was 2 months before pitchers and catchers were scheduled to report, and he's talking about maybe having a hybrid 6-man rotation to start the year. So concerning, I say that lightly. I think a better word is intrigued to see how they monitor the workload. But again, this goes back to the depth that we talked about, and I'm excited to see what.
We want to welcome in Mark Pryor, now longtime pitching coach for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Thank you. We were just talking about the depth of your starting rotation, and we're interested in knowing, I mean, is this possibly the most formidable pitching staff that you've ever worked with going into a season? I hate to have you rank your guys, right? You're kind of like ranking your kids, but man, you've got a lot to work with.
Well, one, I won't rank my kids, and I won't rank my pitchers either. Look, I mean, we're blessed, from a standpoint, from our ownership standpoint, from management, that they've gone out and acquired a lot of talent, a lot of really high-end talent. And so it's a fun group to work with. At the end of the day, they want to win. They enjoy competing against other teams. They enjoy competing, and pushing each other. It's just a fun group to work with. I think that's ultimately, as a staff, you enjoy the moments because they care and have such a passion for their craft. And so that's what makes it a lot of fun and a pleasure to work with these guys.
Mark, hi, my name's Katie. I wanted to ask a little bit about Yamamoto, because we know he's going to go play in the WBC for Team Japan. He also had that heroic, monstrous performance for you guys in the World Series last year. When you're looking at workload, and we touched on this a little bit earlier, is he maybe still a little bit tired from his performance last year? Is this something where you're going to be monitoring his workload because he pitched so extensively, so late for you guys in the season? What's the plan for him to start spring?
Well, I mean, that's the nature of the WBC. There's no perfect time to have a tournament like this, but this is where the schedule falls. And so Yama's been, getting ready for his 2026 season, since, he kind of picked up from his rest after the World Series. He's in a great spot. He feels good. He wouldn't do this if he wasn't feeling good. He made that very clear, I think, to ourselves as well as to, Japanese officials, that, he needed to make sure and kind of take stock on where he was at. He feels great. I mean, I think what he did last year in the playoffs was unprecedented. But I think he's in a good spot right now. And it's from a workload standpoint, he's prepared. We'll get him ready to go out and be able to compete in the WBC. And then once, because of the limitations that are set forth kind of in the parameters that they have for pitchers, it's not that much different from a standpoint of what it would be with us. Obviously, the intensity and the magnitude of those games is going to be more, so it's hard to, account for that. But he's going to be in a good spot, and he'll be ready to go once the season starts. He's a unique individual. He takes unbelievable care of himself. Last year was special to watch him, navigate his season. And ultimately, reach the pinnacle at the end and doing some things that, I know it's been said, like, probably won't see again. And he wanted to win just as much as anybody. And he just, he felt like he was in a position to do some things that were extraordinary.
Yeah, special stuff from him, and if he's the type of dude who needs a blow either early in the season or later in the season, the good thing is you guys got a lot of arms, you got a lot of bodies there, very high-end, a lot of talented dudes. We are entering year 2 of Roki Sasaki, obviously a lot to build on for the dude. The ceiling is very high, and we've heard a lot so far the last, really, I guess, weekend. He's working on adding a little bit, a few wrinkles to the pitch mix, maybe a little bit of a cutter, a little bit of a two-seamer. What are those kind of conversations looking like as we try to make, build Roki into a high-quality major league starter? We've seen him do it as a reliever, of course, but building him into a starter, and how do you make the cutter and two-seamer not necessarily affect that splitter forkball?
Yeah, I mean, I think you touched on it there at the end. I mean, it's ultimately he has a high velocity fastball when he's right, and he has that nasty, split finger pitch. So adding those other pitches has been a conversation been going on since the beginning of last summer, even when he was on the IL. But you obviously you don't want to take away from what his strengths are. So it'll constantly be not managed, but monitored more, just so that we're not pulling back from the other things. But we do that with everybody, with all guys. We're in an era where, because of the technology and the resources that everybody has, guys are able to test things out on a much more regular basis. So you're always making sure that they're not pulling back from what their strengths are. And I think with Roki, it was an interesting year. It's a learning year no matter how he slices it. It started off, obviously with high expectations. The injury comes, role transition, pitching in big moments in the playoffs. So there's a lot for him to kind of, digest and learn from, like all major leaguers, no matter, whether they're, high school, college, or you're coming over from, the Japanese or Korean baseball leagues. I mean, there's a lot to learn at that level. And so I think he's probably had a lot of time to reflect over the winter on what went right, maybe for him, what went wrong, what he needs to do to prepare, to come into camp and be ready to try to, put a good foot forward to be a starter. I think the part that needs to kind of still be ironed out is we never really got to see the full version of, or the healthy version of Roki as a starter. And so I think that's intriguing for, everybody. Is I think at the end we got a taste of it, of a healthy Roki. I think this year we're going to see the full version of Roki, and then we get to actually see him grow and mature as a starting pitcher in the major leagues.
Nothing but upside for Roki Sasaki, Mark.
Mark, when you look at how this roster is shaping up, it's the first time that you are slated to have a full two-way Shohei Ohtani. There is going to be some workload. Dave Roberts said at FanFest, he's going to be using Ohtani as a traditional starter, but the usage might not be on a 5-day schedule. You might get a 6-7 day rotation, or for Ohtani, just kind of to keep him healthy to start the year. What are you seeing from Ohtani, and what's kind of the plan to start his spring?
Yeah, right now he's throwing bullpens. I mean, he is, last year, was obviously a very unique year. He was coming off Tommy John, and then he had the shoulder injury on the non-throwing arm. And this year, yeah, a full version at the WBC will, maybe provide a little bit of wrinkle, but he's so flexible with what he does, his ability to when he can pitch, and how he goes about keeping himself sharp. So it's going to be fun to watch him. I mean, we'll go into spring training, he'll keep throwing bullpens, try to get him to face some hitters before he leaves for the WBC. And then from then we just kind of have to wait and see where everything's at. How long do they advance through the WBC tournament? And then his ability to continue to maintain throwing off a mound, or even if he can be able to face hitters while he's gone. If he can, that's great. If not, then we'll deal with it when we get, when he gets back to us and returns to the team. The fun part about Sho is, he'll pitch as long as he knows when he's pitching. He'll pitch whenever. If it's 6 days rest, if it's 8 days rest, if it's 3 days rest, he's willing to do what he needs to do to help this club win ball games. And so we'll just kind of plan it out and kind of go day by day like we always do. When we're in kind of these unorthodox situations where you can't just map out, the next 4 weeks.
エンゼルスでは中5日または6日で投げてきていましたが、ドジャースでは投手陣の層の厚さを生かし、9月にピークを持っていけるように調整しながら投げていくようです。二刀流本格復帰シーズン、3連覇と5度目の MVP という大きな目標に向けて、今シーズンも応援したいと思います。以上、今回もご視聴いただきありがとうございました。別の動画でもお会いできるのを楽しみにしております。